Welcome back. So, coming up, why has Meghan Markle left the Invictus Games early, leaving Harry behind? But first, after a gruelling 6-year battle, a Christian teaching assistant who was sacked after sharing social media posts about LGBT relationships has today won a landmark legal battle. Kristie Higgs was dismissed from Farmore's School in Fairford in 2019 after she posted critical comments on social media about her daughter's school introducing gender identity treatment. Mrs Higgs hailed the ruling as a win for free speech outside the court this morning.
Expressing biblical Christian teaching on gender and sexuality may appear to be offensive to those who hold the opposite views, but as today's judgment signals, Christians have a right to express their beliefs publicly. Today's judgment is as important for free speech as it is for freedom of religion.
Well, I'm very pleased to be joined now by Kristie Higgs' lawyer, Michael Phillips. Michael, thank you very much. Tremendous to have you on the show. So a great victory for you, say. How did this get this far? And could you just tell our viewers and our listeners, what exactly was it that Kristie was saying or sharing?
Back in October, almost 7 years ago, 6.5 or so years ago, she shared a couple of posts concerning her concerns about gender ideology. And she did it on a private Facebook group. She did it to her friends, or what she believed were her friends. And then what happened was is that it then got reported back to the school that she had posted. In fact, she reposted a number, well, first of all, a petition and also a number of other messages from America about this kind of stuff which is infiltrating the schools. And she just simply said this. One of the quotes here is that kindergarten and first grade children are being primed for a gender fluid society. And another quote was that they are busy recruiting children for the transgender roster. Their gender is not about bullying. They are using our children to promote their gender-free society of madness. And so that's really what she posted. One person took offense to this. It was reported back to the school. She was then interviewed. She was then disciplined. She was summarily dismissed. And that was the end of her job at the school. And ever since then, she's never worked in a school again.
Right, OK, so hopefully after today's ruling that changes. But to me there seems a huge amount of hypocrisy here because, meaning this with absolute respect, I just played some clips at the start of the show there about some things that certain members of the radical Islamic community have been saying in mosques. And, well, that includes things like stoning people to death, potentially, for their sexuality. And Kristie's a long way off that, isn't she? Do you think there's a little bit of two-tier justice here in the sense of, we don't seem to be clamping down on what's maybe said in some other religious areas, do we?
I think that's what she felt at the time. And so why is it that she wasn't given any kind of warning? She wasn't given any kind of final disciplinary hearing. It went straight to summary dismissal. And for somebody who there was no complaints about before this point in time, she'd never been in trouble before, she had a glowing record with the school. And in fact, there was no evidence at all that she had or had shown any form of discrimination towards anybody, let alone LGBT people. That's what she said. She loved those people. She respected them. But there were certain aspects of this ideology that she felt was being pushed in schools, and she was uncomfortable with it. She was a mother of 2 young kids at the time. They're now nearly grown up, but at the time she was concerned about it as a teacher and as a mother, and she wanted to say something about it to her friends, and as a result of that, she lost her job.
But even though she's now victorious, and that's great, this is the message it sends out to people, that are you willing to pay the price for 7 years of your life, of a living hell, really, in order to speak your mind when it comes to things like gender ideology being pushed, what my view is it is being pushed in many cases, onto children in schools. And for a lot of people, they decide it's not worth it. So they keep quiet. And that's fair enough. Everyone's got their own lives to live, but they keep quiet. And so this stuff just happens and it washes over us, doesn't it? And do you feel as though there was a kind of attempt really here to almost bully her into submission?
Yeah, I mean, what she actually said in the first post was a little bit prophetic. She said, which means that freedom of belief will be destroyed, with freedom of speech permitted only for those who toe the party line. She also said that expressing and teaching fundamental Christian beliefs related to the creation of men and women in marriage will be in practice forbidden. And in fact, she was right. And the vast majority of people in this situation will probably say, okay, it's just not worth the candle. I'm going to give up my belief, or maybe I will just keep quiet and I'll say sorry for offending people. But she was an extremely brave woman who'd never, ever been in trouble in her life, even for a parking ticket. But she decided to take it all the way. And indeed, it may even go to the Supreme Court yet. We'll have to see.
Oh, gosh, really? Do you think what they're going to try and appeal this?
Well, we won convincingly. 3 judges all agreed that what happened to her was discrimination, and not just for her, but anybody who was a believer from now on will have the freedom to say similar things to what she's had to say.
Oh, and that's the precedent. That's a good point. So this is the precedent now, is it? That if you happen to identify as a Christian parent and you have concerns about gender ideology being taught in your schools because of this case and because of what Kristie has done and gone and fought this, and yourself, obviously, as a legal representative, have gone and won this case, that sets the precedent now that we can all say, frankly, what we want to say, which is that I don't like the idea of this stuff maybe being pushed on our kids.
Yeah. So what it does is it shifts the burden of proof from the employee to the employer. And so they're going to be the ones who are going to have to show, well, in fact, just because somebody's slightly offended because a third party, or maybe even a hypothetical third party, may be offended as a result of what somebody said, the burden's going to be on them to show that what they did was the right thing in disciplining and sacking somebody.
Yeah, cool. Well, good for you and good for her. So thank you very, very much. That's Michael Phillips there, is the lawyer for Kristie Higgs. A landmark case, absolutely. And all this talk about offence, I mean, good grief. To be honest with you, I mean, I'd be offended if my kid came home and said that the teacher had just told them they might have been born into the wrong body. Will that offend me? Will that offend you? Well, can we take them to court? Maybe we can now, actually. Coming up, though, I'll expose the judge.